Hey guys, it's Ronnie again, and it's time for our 3-Minute Thursdays. I look forward to this time every week, and wow, I'm getting some great questions, so I look forward to each week answering a new question. This week, I want to answer a question based on something that God said in Genesis, and it has to do with the food that we eat. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 29 says, God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it, they will be yours for food. And to the beasts of the earth and all the birds of the air and all the creatures that move, everything that has breath, I give you every green plant for food. So God said before the fall of Adam and Eve that we had all these fruits and vegetables and grains and things of that nature to eat. But then afterwards, now this even included the animals eat those things as well. But then after the fall, Genesis chapter 9 and verse 3, it says, everything that lives and moves will be food for you. Just as I gave you plants, I now give you everything. So the question today is, should we be vegetarians? Because that's really what God gave us to eat originally, what was his perfect plan when earth was created. Or should we eat the food, the meat, because God allowed it to be eaten? Interesting thing here is the Bible doesn't tell us anywhere why God changed that guideline or that rule. When God said, originally I give you seeds and fruit and plants and things of that nature, and then after the fall, he says, now you can eat meat. Doesn't say why he changed that. So the only thing that we could guess a lot of things. There's really no use to guess. But the Bible says that we can now eat clean meat. In other words, a clean animal was one who had a split hoof or like a cow, or one that chewed the cud. In other words, one that chews the cud has two stomachs, and they actually chew it, swallow it, spit it back up, and chew it again. That's called chewing the cud. But then there were those unclean animals that you were not allowed to eat, things like pork, pigs, and rabbit, things of that nature. So there were things like in the water you have things like shrimp and crab and things of that nature that you would not be allowed to eat. Well, the Bible says that now you can eat those things. It doesn't say you have to. It says that you can. Great book that I would recommend to you if this is of interest to you. There's a book by the name, by the author, the man's name is Dr. Rex Russell, and it's called What the Bible Says About Healthy Living. And part of what Rex Russell says is that there were animals, the unclean animals, that God put here to clean up the garbage. They were to be the natural garbage disposals. In other words, they were scavengers. They're still scavengers. And scavengers, part of the definition of a scavenger is that they will eat dead or rotting meat, flesh, things of that nature. Pigs will eat almost anything. And Rex Russell says it was never intended for us to eat the garbage can. Now, you know, the Bible says that Jesus says it's more important what comes out of the mouth than what goes into the mouth. But Jesus never said that those foods that God never gave us in the beginning to eat are good for us. So I think the Bible allows for us to eat meat. I think of the children of Israel when they were in the desert, the wilderness, and they were crying out for meat because they were no longer satisfied with the manna that God had given them. And God said, okay, I'm going to give you meat. And then afterwards, it made them sick. So I think a lot of times today when we're sick, it comes from the foods that we eat. I think God's original plan was that we would eat those seed-bearing plants, the fruit, the things of that nature, and it did not include meat. So I would have to say that based on that is God's perfect plan for what we should eat to be at our best health. So God says you can eat it. He never says it's good for you, but you also have to make a choice. Do you want to eat what God said was best in the beginning? Do you want to eat what God has allowed and it's not sin? if you eat those things that God allowed. But you have to make that choice for yourself. Okay, guys, I hope that helps. I'm looking forward to next week. We have another good topic.